Welcome, Cacaoistas. I'm here in my clinic, in the Chamomile Clinic in Margate, and I am brewing up some ceremonial cacao. And I want to guide you through the process so that you know how to make your own cacao drink for yourselves for ceremonial purposes. So I have in front of me all the things that you need. We've got 3 types of cacao here. We've got a saucepan, we've got a source of heat, we've got something to stir it with, we've got a cup to pour it into, we've got water to blend it with, we've got a set of scales to do our measurements with, and I've got a couple of tea towels for the messiness that may ensue, hopefully not, but just in case, and also to keep it warm. Once we've brewed it up, we can use it as a kind of tea cozy to keep it warm if we wish to. So first things first, let's talk about the cacao. We have a giant block of cacao here. You may get your cacao in huge chunks like me. Most likely, though, you're going to be buying it in 2 forms, either a powder form or in blocks. So this powder form and the giant block in front of me, they're both from Peru. This one is Guatemalan, wild harvested. And this is the one I'm going to show you how to work with today because it's kind of in between the two. The powdery one's incredibly easy to work with. You just scoop it out with a spoon and weigh it. The giant chunk, you just need a big chopping board and a big knife. And the smaller chunks, a little bit more flexible to work with, and probably the kind that you will have. So if we want to think about dosage, we can go anywhere between, for a ceremonial cacao dose, we need anywhere between 30 grams, which is a mild dose for people who don't generally drink coffee or for people that get affected by caffeine. You don't want to be touching cacao if you're allergic to chocolate, obviously, but if you're just a little bit sensitive, then go with the 30-gram dose. But for people who are familiar with cacao and confident with it, then you can go right up to the 42-gram mark. So just looking at these chunks, this is quite a nice big one. If I weigh this out, I've got my cup. My cup is my special ceremonial cup. I have a favourite cup, and you might have a favourite cup at home that you want to work with. You just need to make sure that you can fit 250 mils of fluid in it, because I have accidentally poured it into small cups before and realised that I'm not going to get my dose in. So make sure you've got a big cup, your favourite cup, and then turn on your scales, and I'm going to weigh it out. But it's oh my God, it's perfect. It's 42 grams. That's spooky. So I've got my 42 grams, spot on. Sometimes it works like that, doesn't it? Everything just works out to a magical plan. So we've got that. We're going to chop that up in a moment. And then also I need to weigh you out 250 mils of water. And I'm going to do the scales for that because I've noticed that my measuring jug is highly inaccurate. So I'm going with scales because I trust them. So you can go a little bit over. I won't worry about it if you go a little bit over because some of it will steam evaporate away. So I've got 254 mils. So it's just a tiny bit over. And now I'm going to pour it into my saucepan. Okay, and now this is just for one person, this dose. And now we're going to let it bubble away and boil. So come back to me in a few minutes when it's boiling and we'll go to the next phase. Now, while the water is boiling, we also wish to chop up our cacao. So we've got our 42 grams perfectly. And all I want to do is just cut into it to make it a bit more crumbly. And as I'm starting to chop into it, I'm starting to tune into it. I imagine that Mama Cacao has flown all the way to me from the rainforest and she's asleep and I want to wake her up. So lucky her, she gets me chopping into her as her first experience of waking up in my clinic. So as I'm chopping into her, I'm thinking about what magic we're going to be doing later. I'm saying thank you, Mama Cacao, for coming into my world and for being your delicious self. Thank you for flying all the way from Guatemala to be with me today. And please, can you bring me strong visions? Please, can you bring me clarity? And please, can you bring me healing? There may be other intentions that you have for your cacao, but generally, clarity and healing are 2 that I always invite. So you may have other ideas as to what you may want to wish for as you're chopping into your cacao and asking her to awaken for you, so that she in turn will awaken you and your consciousness and bring you to a better place of harmony within yourself. And so she's looking good. She's nice and powdery now into smaller chunks. And now my water is bubbling away nicely. So it's on a good rolling boil. So I'm just going to turn it down a little bit, just so it doesn't all evaporate off too fast. I've just turned it off, so I'll just turn it on again. Try and turn it down so it's gently simmering. Okay, so now we're going to pop it in to the saucepan full of boiling water. Now the reason we add it to the boiling water rather than straight at the beginning is just because we want to preserve the good quality chemistry that she has. She's full of nutrients, and we want to keep those nutrients. We don't want to burn them off and destroy them by overcooking them. So now we're just going to turn it right up again to melt her. She's going to start melting, and as she melts, I like to sing to her. This is a little bit like seduction, you know. So I'm Romeo and she's Juliet, and I'm going to sing her a song as she stands on her balcony. I'm trying to wake her up from her slumber. And so I have a little song that I like to sing to her. Now you may have your own song, but this is my song, which I'll share with you now. And Mama Cacao gave me this song one day in a journey. So you might find that you find your own song. Perhaps you have your own favourite song you want to sing to her, a little love song, perhaps. So my song goes like this. Hey, Mama Cacao, please wake up and do your healing for us now. Help us to be happy, sparkling with your rainbow loving energy. Hey, Mama Cacao, please wake up and do the healing for me now. Help me to be happy, sparkling with your clarity and energy. Now you might have some other things that you want to add into your song. You might have other ideas. You can just allow it to flow. You can make up poems. But really, this is about connection. So for me, connection means singing her a song. This is also a practice that I picked up from working with Ecuadorian shamans, that when they're making their plant medicines, they sing to their medicine. And she's looking really good now. So she's starting to bubble really fast. I'm just going to turn her down a little bit so she doesn't boil over. You don't want her to bubble up too much. Again, just to say that is going to kill her nutrition, her nutritional properties a little bit. So we just want her to melt. And when she's ready, this is a camping stove, so it's not the most accurate heat source on the planet. Like your kitchen hob is probably a bit more accurate than this. As she's bubbling away, you can see, if I tilt it to the camera, you can see there's a few lumps still on the bottom. So that means she's not thoroughly ready yet. She's not quite cooked. So we just want to cook her up a little bit more so that she's 100% melted. This is easy to do when you're doing small amounts. It's harder to do when you're doing a giant saucepan full of it. There we go. So she's getting a little bit too bubbly again. So we want to take it off the heat again and just check and see. Oh, she's still got some little lumps in the bottom there. I need to get this heat a little bit more like a low simmer. So once she's cooking, just gentle simmer is absolutely ideal until she's melted, 100% melted. And as she's melting, you just need to play with that temperature a little bit so that she's melting, she's bubbling, but she's not boiling. And waking her up slowly, slowly. And maybe sing to her a few more times as well. I'd sing to her more, but I'm talking a lot on camera. Okay, so she's looking pretty good. She's nearly there. You can feel that she's getting really creamy. And also, as she's cooking up, she starts to make really interesting patterns, quite psychedelic swirly patterns on the top. And these psychedelic swirly patterns are also a good sign that she's ready. She's ready to be used as a medicine for your journeys. Okay, let's just check that one more time. Yay, can you see there's no lumps on the bottom now? It's really rich and creamy. and ready to go. Okay. So now what we want to do, now she's all cooked up, we want to take her to our ceremonial space. So I like to keep my cacao nice and hot so that when I drink her during ceremony, she's still got some heat to her. It doesn't matter at all though, you can drink her cold, but I prefer it hot. So I turn the heat right off, and then I'm going to wrap her in a couple of tea towels. And then I'm going to carry her off on a tray with my cup into my ceremonial space. I also like to take my spatula with me because then I can scrape off the last little bits around the sides of the saucepan and get her into my cup. So I've got the maximum dose possible out of my cacao, no waste. And that's everything you need to know really for preparing your cacao drink for a cacao ceremony. If there are any things that I've forgotten, any other things that you need me to clarify, then please get in touch and I will answer your questions. So thank you for joining me, and I hope to see you at a cacao ceremony soon online.